Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another recent reads. A lot of these were actually featured in a vlog, so this is probably going to be a pretty short one because I'm going to keep all of those pretty short and sweet since I have talked about all of them in a lot of detail over in that vlog. So I'm just going to start with those ones and then we can talk about the three other ones. So all of the next books that I'm going to talk about were featured in my A to Z reading vlog, where I read a bunch of books that were recommended by Heather from Hia Booktubes, Stef from Novelty Corner, and Bree from In Love and Words during our last A to Z live show. I'm going to have that video as well as all three of them linked down in the description box, as well as the vlog where I talk in detail about all of these. So first was Fans Only by B Love, which I gave 5 stars. This is a super steamy friends to lovers novella following our heroine and hero who have been in the same friend group, and they decide to start an OnlyFans account to help generate revenue to help kickstart both of their dream jobs. I absolutely loved this book. It was ridiculously steamy. I definitely need to read more from this author because this one was fantastic. Last Light by Claire Kent, I also gave 5 stars. This is a post-apocalyptic romance. It has an age gap and we would never have been together if it were not the end of the world sort of situation. Our heroine and our hero are from the same small town, and they end up traveling together to try and meet back up with the remaining members of their small town through this apocalyptic wasteland and end up forming a romance. The hero is in his 30s and the heroine is like 20, 21, and they are total opposites. They have very little in common, but as they travel, they end up falling in love, and I'm utterly obsessed with this book, and I need to read all of the other books in the series because this was everything. I loved it. Then I read Held in Content by Ava Cherie, which I gave 4 stars. Really, really loved this novella. This one was really short. I'm going to keep this one extra vague because I think this one is even better if you go into it knowing very little. We are following this heroine who's a lawyer, and she keeps having to face this other really, really slimy lawyer guy in court, and something is going on between her and one of the judges. I'm going to leave it at that. It is fantastic, and the twist at the end of this one was so good. I loved it. This one also does deal heavily with sexism and racism, so know that going in. There are some awful things that are said. All of them challenged, all of them called out, and the bad guy gets what he deserves. Sing Anyway by Anita Kelly. Anita Kelly is one of my favorite authors. Unfortunately, I only gave this one 3 stars. However, I want to say that this was Anita Kelly's debut, and I love their latest books so much that I think there was just no way that this could live up, because as an author, they have grown so much, and this was one too short, and their writing, like I said, has just improved so much. And so I think that this one was just set up to not live up to their newer stuff. So this one was fine. The entire thing kind of takes place over a really short time period. The majority of this book is set over one night, and it is following some older main characters as they meet during this karaoke night. They've kind of always had a crush on each other, and it is them getting to know each other. It's a one-night stand turned HFN. I liked that one, just not my favorite by the author. Then The Marriage Contract by Shay Davis, I also gave 3 stars. This was a married in Vegas / marriage of convenience sort of romance between our hero, who is an athlete, and our heroine, who is going to clean up his image for him. But she doesn't really want anything to do with the spotlight, and they need to find a way to make it work. I thought this one was pretty average. I've read books that do this, I think, so many times that this was just kind of set up to be one in a million sort of thing, where it's like I've read this scenario just so many times that this one just didn't do anything to stand out from the other ones. But it wasn't a bad book by any means. I had a good time reading it. It just isn't one that sticks with me. However, the last 2 books that I read for that vlog were both 5 stars as well. This was a really successful vlog. First was In a Jam by Kate Canterbury, which I feel like is such a popular book, and I finally read it and I understand the hype. This is a small town romance, and we are following this heroine who returns to this small town and runs into this guy that she knew in high school. The two of them were best friends in high school, and they both desperately wanted to leave this small town. And now, for reasons, they are back and feelings arise. I loved the hero in this one. He is so grumpy yet protective, and the heroine is going through some pretty heavy things, and he is there to support her. And I understand why so many people love Daddy Breadbaker, because I did too. Lastly was One Night, One Bite by Joy Anderson. Gave this one 5 stars. I desperately need more books in this world. This is a vampire paranormal romance, but it was such a unique take on vampires that I am desperate for more books in this world. I thought that this was maybe tied to some of her other series, but it sounds like it's not, and that once she finishes up her other series, she will continue on with this one. I need it to happen. I need it so bad. But I think in the meantime, I am going to go back and read some of her other books because this was really unique and really cool. It is a fated mates vampire story. Our heroine has a secret identity and forbidden romance, and I just absolutely love that one. So that was a quick fire summary of all of the books that I read for that A to Z vlog. Like I said, I don't want to linger here because if you have watched that vlog, this is going to be really repetitive. I'm going to go through the other two that are coming for a vlog eventually. The first was Heart Song by TJ Klune. I gave this book 5 stars. This is easily one of the books that I've cried the hardest at ever. I sobbed through this book, like straight on, tears streaming down my face at the end. Like, not only did I like silently tear up the entire way through this book, but at the end, full on sobbing. It broke my heart into a bajillion little pieces. This is following Kelly, who is my favorite character of the entire series, his romance with Robbie. And I'm going to keep this really vague because this book opens up in a certain scenario and I don't want to ruin any of it. But essentially, we're following Robbie, who is in Maine. He is trying to figure out what is going on because he is having these like weird memory flashes and visions, and he doesn't know where they're coming from, and he's hearing voices. I like don't even know how to talk about this book because, like I said, it's spoilery for itself as well as for the other books in the series. So I have to be like really vague here, but one of the things that I loved so much about this one is one, Kelly is like I said, one of my favorite characters of all time. He is just such a soft hero and has the biggest bleeding heart and wants to care for everybody. He also is ace, and the ace rep in here was fantastic. While it is not super prevalent, I think what I loved so much about it is that it was just a thing that existed. Like, at no point was there this big discussion over his identity or who he was. No one was questioning him. It was just a thing in their relationship, and it was a thing that he tells Robbie, and Robbie's like, okay. And I loved that. I loved it so much. And there were all these little moments where Robbie would check in with him and make sure that everything was okay. And I loved it. The way that the two of them find their way to each other and Kelly's undying commitment to the people that he loves just killed me. And then there were multiple scenes at the end that, like I said, just destroyed me. And the ending of this one leads right into Brother Song, and it is truly impossible to finish this book and not go right into Brother Song. So I have done that. Then I read The Culmination of Everything by Christina C. Jones. I did give this one 3.5 stars. I did round up on Goodreads because the reason that this got a 3.5 stars is not because of like the quality of this book, but my preferences as a reader. This is another like pretty heavy story following our heroine who goes to this small town, and you know that something happened in her past and she kind of shut down and closed herself off, and she needs a fresh start. And so she is here on sabbatical to try and get back to herself. And through a series of unfortunate events, her and the hero kind of keep running into each other and decide that they are going to take their frustrations out in a physical relationship. And so they start hate fucking, and it goes from there. This has a lot of really heavy themes in it, so major content warnings. There are plenty of content warnings on the Goodreads page, so you can go down in the description box and take a look at that. What held me back for this one, and I don't think that what my holdup for this book was the intention of this book in any way, and so I don't want it to seem like I'm saying that this is a problem with the book. I think the book did exactly what it was set up to do. I just wanted more time with the characters going from their enemies to lovers. I wanted like 50 more pages of seeing the hero open up to the heroine a little bit. Our hero is so shut off, and whenever he feels like emotions are rising, he lashes out at everyone around him. And I wanted like just a little bit more seeing the two of them together in an actual relationship and how that dynamic worked for them. And like I said, I don't think that that was even the intention of the book. I think the intention of the book was that that's who he is. And so I don't think he was ever intended to like warm up to the heroine. I don't know. But I felt like a little bit was missing in there to get me like completely on board for the forever aspect of their romance because their chemistry was so good. I just didn't I needed a little bit more to believe that their romance like could work long term, if that makes sense. So it was just personal preference for me as a reader. I don't want to deter anyone from reading this because I think this book was fantastic and I love Christina C. Jones's writing. So, and then the last one is the only book that isn't in a video or anything like that. It is Marry Me by Midnight by Felicia Grossman. This was a historical romance, which I don't read very often. Historical romance is not my personal romance preference. However, this is a Jewish romance. And if you don't know, I am married into a Jewish family. I am not Jewish, but my husband and my in-laws are all Jewish. And I had never read a Jewish romance set in like early Victorian London high society. And so this was a part of history that I didn't really know much about. It's also a gender-bent Cinderella retelling. So our hero is a custodian at one of the synagogues, and he has gone through a lot in his life. And because of that, it has kind of put him at the mercy of his community. And he is having a hard time breaking out of this and becoming a respected member of the Jewish community. And our heroine is this kind of like a Jewish heiress who is trying to integrate into like the ton, I guess, like the high Victorian society, but she also needs to get married in order to maintain control of her late father's business. She was an only child and she was slotted to take over, but she is still a woman in the 18 whatever 30s or whatever, and so she needs a husband to kind of be the front man for it. And so she is hosting this big ball and she needs to choose a husband, and she ends up asking the hero for help to spy on all of the guys and try to get her insight so that she knows who to pick. She's very conniving, but not in necessarily a bad way. She's very strategic. And so she wants as much knowledge as she can. And of course, as her and the hero get to know each other, they form this romance, and it is a different worlds, opposites attract sort of story. And I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I really liked all of the historical aspects that were built in. I really like the different class trope, especially in historical romance, and this one was done really well. 4 stars to that one. That is it for this round of recent reads. Like I said, this was a really short one, but all of the vlogs and videos and stuff will be linked down below. So let me know if you've read any of these, what you rated them, what you thought about them. If you've added any of these to your TBR, I would love to know. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.